This video provides an overview of paying for college. The first step in paying for college is determining what college actually costs, and this can be surprisingly difficult to do. The true cost of college is captured not only by direct costs, which are the costs that you're billed for by the college you attend, but also indirect costs associated with going to college. Direct costs include tuition and fees, and sometimes can include housing and a meal plan if you plan to live on campus. Housing and a meal plan is sometimes also called room and board. Indirect costs include things like textbooks, transportation, and housing and food if you're not living on campus. A key tool to capturing the full cost of college, including both direct and indirect costs, is called cost of attendance, or COA. Different colleges provide different COAs depending on a student's housing. So a student who lives at home with their family will have a lower COA than a student who's living on campus or on their own. The cost of attendance is calculated according to a federal formula, and it can be useful in determining what a student should budget in order to attend a particular college. So in the example that we've provided here, we compare the tuition and fee costs to attend Nashville State Community College with the cost of attendance for Nashville State if a student is living at home with their family. And you'll notice that the COA amount is more than twice the amount of just tuition and fees. This is a useful guide for students and families when they're thinking about how to budget for their college expenses. A student who only budgets for the tuition and fees may find themselves facing unexpected expenses and may have to withdraw from classes if they're unable to meet those expenses. This is especially true for students who plan to use Tennessee Promise to attend college. The Promise scholarship only covers tuition and fees, so the student needs to plan and budget to cover their other indirect costs that make up that full cost of attendance. Cost of attendance can seem like an incredibly high number, especially if a student is considering living on campus. But it's important to remember that almost no one pays the full cost of attendance to attend college. Instead, they get financial aid that covers part or all of their costs. Almost 3 out of every 4 college students get some financial aid. So what is financial aid? We typically think about 2 different types of aid: gift aid and self-help aid. Gift aid is aid that does not have to be repaid, such as grants and scholarships. In Tennessee, some examples of gift aid are the Hope Scholarship and Tennessee Promise. Self-help aid is aid that requires the student to either work to earn the aid or to repay the aid. This aid is usually student loans, which are money that has to be repaid plus interest. Sometimes students also receive work study, which is when a student is placed in a job and earns a paycheck as part of their financial aid package. Where does this aid come from? The vast majority of aid a student receives will come either from federal and state government or from the college itself. Students may also get additional aid from other organizations like businesses, faith groups, and civic organizations. Because the majority of financial aid will come from government or the college, the 2 primary ways students apply for aid is by completing the FAFSA, or Free Application for Federal Student Aid, and by applying to a range of colleges. To access aid from other groups, students can complete additional scholarship applications. Some colleges require students complete scholarship applications in order to be awarded aid from the college, while others automatically consider every student for scholarships when they apply for admission. Students should make sure they know how to apply for scholarships at each college to which they apply for admission. For undocumented students who cannot access federal and state aid, the greatest sources of aid are going to be the colleges to which the student applies, as well as other scholarship organizations like Equal Chance for Education. Financial aid is typically awarded based on 2 factors: the student's financial need and merit. Financial need is typically determined by completing the FAFSA. Merit aid is more within the student's control. Taking steps like signing up for hard classes, getting good grades, and taking the ACT multiple times are ways a student can maximize the amount of merit aid they are awarded. Many students and families are familiar with the concept of a full ride, or a scholarship that would cover the entire cost of college. These scholarships get a lot of media coverage when they're awarded, as in the examples we've provided here. For the vast majority of students, the financial aid they get for college will come from a variety of sources that the student combines together to cover their cost, rather than one scholarship that will do so. In part, this is because scholarships that cover the full cost of attendance are relatively rare and the competition for them is strong. Unfortunately, the financial aid system can be difficult to understand, and it is not transparent for students and their families. It's almost impossible to know how much a particular college will cost you until you go through the process of applying for admission and financial aid at that college. Because of this uncertainty, we typically advise that students not rule out colleges before applying just based on cost or the information available about financial aid. That being said, we know that cost is an extremely important part of college fit and that students and families want to have an idea of what a particular college will cost. A good tool for estimating the cost of college is something called a net price calculator. Every college is required to have a net price calculator available on their website so that students and families can estimate their net price. What is net price? Net price is the cost of attendance after gift aid has been factored in. It can represent the cost that a student must borrow, earn, or pay to the college in order to cover their college costs. And net price calculators are a good tool for estimating college costs and comparing estimated costs between different institutions that a student is considering. However, since it's an estimate, net price is not an exact prediction of what a student will have to pay. If students and their families are concerned about the cost of a particular college and want to learn more about aid that may be available, they should contact the admissions office at that college in order to work with an admissions counselor to understand their options. As we've said before, most of your aid will come from completing the FAFSA and completing applications for college admission. Doing things like completing the FAFSA as soon as possible after October 1st of your senior year and submitting admissions applications earlier than the deadline can help you maximize your aid from those sources. Once you have your FAFSA and application plan in order, you can focus on applying for other scholarships. Scholarships are a great way to cover the gaps between what a college costs and what you are awarded in financial aid by that college. Although it can be tempting to focus on scholarships with big dollar award amounts, most students are awarded a few smaller scholarships. We recommend focusing on local scholarships by working with your school counselor or the Community Foundation of Middle Tennessee, since the number of people who apply for these scholarships is smaller and you have a better chance of being awarded one. As always, there are people and organizations who can help you through this process. We recommend reaching out to your school counselor, getting in touch with admissions recruiters at the colleges you're considering, and working with local nonprofits like the Martha O'Brien Center and the Oasis Center. Good luck.